I'd like to call the order to the May 7th Planning Commission meeting. Please stand for the invocation by Russell Wilder and the Pledge of Allegiance.
Y'all would bow with us. Dear Lord, we want to thank you for the rain. We've surely needed it. Thank you for this whole beautiful community that we live in, the blessings we have living in this country, in this great state. We ask you to look over us this evening, that we do the right thing, that we prayerfully contemplate what we're hearing and discuss when necessary. We ask that you look over all of our first responders that even though we don't see them, are looking out for us day and night, every day, and our military overseas right now as we're engaged in foreign conflicts. We ask that you give us all that took time to come to this meeting tonight a very safe ride back to the house this evening. All these things in Jesus' name we ask. Amen. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We do have a full quorum tonight with one absent, but we do have a quorum. Gentlemen, you've had the opportunity to review the minutes from the previous meeting, April 16th. I need approval of those minutes.
Mr. Chairman, motion to approve the minutes from the April 16th meeting.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries. And gentlemen, you've had opportunity to review the agenda for this evening. I need approval for that.
Motion to approve tonight's agenda.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries. Before we begin, I'd like to take a moment to clarify that the Planning Commission is a recommending body to the Columbia County Board of Commissioners. The decisions made on rezoning and variance requests tonight will be forwarded to the Commissioners for final action on May 19th, 2026. If you wish to address the Board of Commissioners at their meeting, please see Ms. Mixon. To obtain a request to speak form, any request with a public hearing will have a minimum of 10 minutes permitted per side for the presentations of opinions, data, and evidence by proponents or opponents of a request. The applicant will be allowed to speak first, and any member of the public may speak after. Either side may cede their time during the hearing if they so desire. Getting into the debate agenda, we have new business. We have a massage operator's license, H1A1. Will?
Madam Chair, this request for a massage operator's license of Balanced Body Massage LLC, 4408 Columbia Road, Suite 100. They're doing both on-premise and mobile massage services, and they meet all the requirements of the ordinance. Staff recommends approval.
Thank you. Gentlemen, do I have a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve the massage operator's license for Balanced Body Massage LLC to provide a massage therapy at 4408 Columbia Road, Suite 105, and mobile massage services.
Second.
I have a motion on the floor and a second. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries. We have two final plats, H1B1 Greenpoint Phase 4. Danielle?
Yes, sir. This is the final plat for Phase 4 of Greenpoint off Appling Harlem Road. This shows the location of this phase on the north side of the development. It is currently zoned planned residential development. And this section includes 62 single-family lots with a minimum lot size of 6,000 square feet and an average lot size of 8,094 square feet. The minimum setbacks are 25 feet from the right-of-way, 7.5 feet from the side property lines, and 10 feet from the rear property lines. Sidewalks and street trees will be provided on both sides of the road, and 23.2 acres of open space is included in this section. This section also includes the connection to Holcomb Road, which satisfies the zoning condition on Greenpoint for a second access at 300 lots. This shows the existing site. You can see it is still under construction, and staff recommends approval.
Thank you, Danielle. Gentlemen, can I get a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve the final plat for Greenpoint Phase 4 off Appling Harlem Road.
Second.
I have a motion on the floor and a second. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries. Next item, final plat, H1B2 Neptune Trail. Danielle?
Yes, sir. This is a final plat for several parcels off Neptune Trail to replat the legal easements for these parcels. These properties are located off Gales Road on the north side of Cobham Road and are zoned residential agricultural. The current plat provides access to the 7 lots with no road access via 2 easements that cross parcel 1, as you see on the screen there, one along the southern property line and one roughly across the middle of the parcel. The one across the middle of the parcel is creating some issues in selling that property. The applicants originally wanted to just relocate that easement to essentially parallel the other one along the south property line. But there were concerns with kind of the feasibility of that in the long run as far as 911 access and if both driveways would actually get constructed and things of that nature. So the proposal is to actually combine those easements into one wider 60-foot easement with a requirement to develop that easement with a 20-foot wide gravel driveway. 20 foot is the minimum typically required for fire access. It is wider than what we typically require in an easement situation like this, where it is just a driveway. But that's kind of the trade-off that we're giving for allowing this one driveway access easement to serve more than 4 lots, as would normally be allowed. We're asking for a little bit wider road developed to kind of fire code standards. There is also a note on the plat that parcel 1, which is the only one that could be further subdivided under the current zoning, cannot be subdivided. So there will not be any additional lots off of this easement beyond what is shown on this plat with that condition. And with those 2 requirements, staff is recommending approval.
Thank you, Danielle. Gentlemen, can I get a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve the final plat for Neptune Trail off of Gales Road.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries. Getting into the public hearing, H1C1, VA 26-05-01. Danielle?
Yes, sir. This is a request for a variance to building setbacks at 417 Hastings Place. This shows the location of the property in the Cambridge subdivision off Stevens Creek Road, and it is currently zoned R3 single-family residential, as are all of the surrounding properties. This shows an aerial of the site. You can see on the site, on the south side of the property, the pre-existing carport structure. You can see on the left-hand side of this picture as well, the existing site photo where that structure has been extended closer towards the road. So essentially, what we are dealing with is this carport or awning on the south side of the house. It is constructed to 1 foot from the property line. The required building setbacks in this zoning district are 10 feet. The original portion of this carport has been in place since 1995. That is far enough back that the county does not retain permit records for it, so we cannot determine if it was constructed with incorrectly issued permits or without permits at all. We simply don't have the records to determine that. It was extended earlier this year, and there was a complaint submitted to code enforcement that triggered submittal of a building permit, which could not be approved since the structure is within that side setback, and ultimately led to this variance request. So these are photos from the site visit by code enforcement in February that show the awning under construction, and then the existing site with the finished structure. So the issue here is that, the structure has been built without approved building permits and within the side setback. The applicants have submitted HOA approval, and they have submitted that since it's behind the privacy fence and, set back from the garage and such, that it's largely not visible from the road. The HOA apparently agrees with that kind of reasoning and has agreed that it is in keeping with the neighborhood aesthetic. So from that side, we're probably less concerned with the impact on the neighborhood in this case with the HOA approval. But setbacks do exist for a reason, to limit impact on adjacent properties. And obviously this case has come before us due to complaints from the adjacent property owner. So that does indicate some potential for negative impacts to that adjacent property. And with the structure having been built without permits and within the setback, we are recommending that the portion of the structure that was added this year be removed, and just the original portion that's been in place for about 30 years be allowed to remain. So this shows the existing site. The applicants use this space for parking of the golf cart and for play area for their grandkid. And again, we are recommending approval with the condition that the side setback is reduced only for the original awning constructed in 1995 per the submittal, with the more recent addition to be removed within 60 days of approval by the Board of Commissioners. And then Stormwater has noted that an easement encroachment agreement is required. That has already been submitted and is under review in conjunction with this variance request.
Thank you, Danielle. Would the owners, Steve or Tammy Pye, or applicant Tammy Pye, would like to come forward and add anything to the narrative? If you need to speak, come to the podium, please, and state your name and address for the record.
Hi, I'm Tammy Pye, owner of 417 Hastings Place in Martinez. This started, we play under the existing carport area with my 2-year-old grandson that I keep 5 days a week. He's a handful and he loves the outdoors, and we spend a lot of time out there. We were out there one winter day when it was fairly decent warm weather. He kept riding his little tricycle out from under the carport cover into the rain. It was raining that day, and I kept he thought it was fun. He thought it was cool. But I got to thinking, I kept having to go out and pull him back in, and we eventually had to take him in the house screaming and hollering because he didn't want to go in because he wouldn't stay out of the rain. And I just thought, why don't we just extend this, finish covering it? We've already covered more than half of it, and just finish the existing cover. We have put numerous of these covers up over the years at properties. We have rental properties. My son had a property as well that we purchased one for back years ago. Been a few years since I'd bought one, but I called the company. It's Town and Country Industries. It's in Pooler, Georgia. My husband agreed it was okay to do this. It was a great idea. We could get the golf cart out of the garage, have room for his wagon and his strollers, put his ride-ons under there. We've since put a sandbox, a little roller coaster, his little basketball goal, bat and tees, because we do spend a good bit of time out there when weather's permitting and we've got the time. I called them, I ordered it, we picked it up. I called the man that had worked with my dad for many years. My dad's been gone 15 years, but he installed many of these covers with my dad. I knew they were very well built, well constructed. I knew this man knew what he was doing, putting them together. Our existing one survived Helene. You know, we went through a hurricane with it. So we began to put it up. When the code enforcement officer came out and told us she had had the complaint, and she took pictures, she said that, you know, we didn't have the building permit. And she said, but I can see why you think that you didn't need one because you're just extending an existing one. And she said, I'm not sure that you do. She said, but I've taken pictures. I'm going to turn them into my boss. And if you will check with our office tomorrow or the next day and just see what they have to say, you can apply for it while you're there. And I said, fine, because I definitely don't want to cause anybody any problems, and I definitely don't need any more. But they did tell me I did need the permit. I filled it out that day while I was in the office. And I think it was a couple of days later, I received an email stating that I've never knew what a variance was or that I needed one, but they told me I was going to need the variance. And it would be helpful if I had, you know, my neighborhood and all, you know, the neighborhood was in agreement with it. So that was my holdup. I mean, I filled out all the paperwork immediately. I got a letter from the neighborhood. I had to wait a couple of weeks for him to finally send it to me, and he mailed it to me, that saying we were fine, you know, we're well within our covenants, that there was nothing wrong, and it was okay. And it's been a wonderful addition. We spend a lot of time out there. We're well protected. I've got a privacy gate at the front and the back of it. It's a wonderful play area. I don't have to worry about him running into the street, getting into our pool in the backyard. He's contained in there. I can sit there and watch him, and we want to go for a golf cart ride, we just open the gate and jump on the golf cart and go. And, you know, the one that we have now has not caused a problem to anyone. And this is the exact same thing that is there. It's complete with a gutter system that drains down to our driveway. I had submitted a picture that shows the gutter. And so there's not, all the runoff we get is from the property above us. We get that constantly. We've dealt with that ever since we've lived there. We moved in 92. But like I said, it's the exact same as what's there. It's just a smaller version of it extended forward. So,
Okay, we have any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other member of the audience would like to speak in favor? Anyone would like to speak against? Oh, come forward, please. State your name and address for the record, please.
Thank you. Joe Mitchell. I live 418 Hastings Place, across the street and down a lot. The lots don't exactly line up. I appreciate y'all letting me speak for a minute. I'll try not take too much time. I've lived there since '05, across the street from Steve and Tammy Pie. Their house makes my house worth more. Their house is in excellent condition. I can see their home out every front window in my house. I have no problem with their variance request. I support it. Their yard's one of the nicest ones in the neighborhood, and like I said, I can see it out every window. I was a homeowners president years ago. They were in compliance with the covenants at that time. The covenants haven't been updated, and so I assume they still are in compliance, and I just support the request for a variance.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Is anyone here would like to speak? Yes, come forward, please, and state your name and address for the record. You have 5 minutes.
I'm Lee Prim. I live at 460 Cambridge Way in Martinez, which is the circle, and that's an interior street. I was a previous HOA president, and I had no problems with that. If you looked at the pictures when they were showing the house, that house is probably the most attractive house in the neighborhood, even with that structure. It serves a useful purpose. It ensures the safety, if you would, of her grandchild when he's out at play with someone out there. As you're aware, 2-year-olds are, you know what they're doing one second, but the next second you're not too sure where they are. But with the gate up there, they've ensured the safety of that child. If you look at this side, excuse me, I had surgery, minor medical procedure today, so if I seem a little off, bear with me. If I fall down, call EMT. If you look at their driveway, it slopes to the street. So without that gate up there, without that fence, that child is an accident waiting to happen. And they've taken all due, they've taken prudent issues to ensure that that doesn't happen. And you know, I just think moving with taking that away is reducing the safety factor here. I also would like to point out that when I was HOA president, I started something called the Yard of the Month, Yard of the Year. And I think it's important here to note that they won the Yard of the Month, and then they won the Yard of the Year. Their house is the best looking house out there. I mean, it's the best looking house with that requested variance. And it's not going to improve or detract from that house one way or the other, whether that shed or that overhang is taken down or left. It serves a purpose. And I would greatly appreciate a positive response from the board in recognizing that.
Thank
That's
you.
it.
Thank you. Is anyone here who would like to speak against or in favor? Come forward, please. Oh. Couple. Just state your name and address for the record,
Yeah,
please.
sure. I'm Mike Mills. I have no stake in the neighborhood at all. I'm aware of the area. But looking at the area, I might have suggested maybe a compromise. The child is how old, 2, 3? Why don't you leave it up, let them leave it up till they're 5, and then have a written agreement to take it down when the child's old enough to run out in the street? That's all I have to say.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Councilmember. Mr. Councilman, I'm sorry. My first time addressing anyone like this before.
State your name and address for the record.
My name is David Wordinger. I'm the adjacent property owner at 415 Hastings Place, Martinez, Georgia. Mr. Chairman, before I begin my testimony, I provided the clerk with a formal note. I'm recording these proceedings to ensure verbatim transcript is made for judicial review potentially in the future. I ask that this notice in my evidence packet be formally entered into the case file, please. Mr. Chairman, I am the adjacent neighbor at 415 Hastings Place. Please let the record reflect in recording this case. The staff report confirms that denying this variance would not deprive the applicant of any reasonable use of their property, and I'm quoting the staff. Under your own guidelines, there is no legal hardship, and this variance must be denied, and there's no precedence. This is not about an old carport. This is about something They expanded in 2026. They built in total disdain for the law and the codes that you all enforce so strictly and thankfully. We're next to Richmond County, and there's a distinct line of difference when you cross that boundary. It's these sorts of variances, these one-offs, that cause Columbia County, that could cause us to become something we don't want it to be. Your codes are in place for a reason. Construction began February 7th. They didn't have a permit. The county denied their permit February 12th. On February 14th, my video evidence shows them continuing construction anyway. They didn't seek a variance because they had a hardship. They sought a variance because they got caught. The applicant submitted a letter from the HOA dated March 17th, claiming the fence is in compliance. Look at my photos that I submitted in your pamphlet. My photo from March 24th, you'll see the applicant physically destroyed my fence. The previous photo, March 23rd, shows my fence aligned with my fence. They destroyed my fence the next day, 15 feet of it, and installed their own. The HOA letter is a fabrication. It approves a fence that did not exist for another week. You cannot base a legal variance on implausible evidence. We formally asked the county for help for the first time on August 22nd, 2025, shortly after things quieted down again, but it didn't last for long. What you see in the video clips from August 2025 and February 7th and beyond they're just that small clips, small instances of what myself and others have tolerated for years and years on a continual, regular basis and cadence, multiple times a week. Our requests for help from the county fell silent, and relevant detail is nowhere to be seen. Any complaint retrieved through an open records request. You can see that on August 2025, the complaint is available in that request. It's heavily redacted, or not filled out whatsoever. Contains no photos, no mention of what they're actually doing, nothing. And just to close, the burden of proof on this application, the burden is on the applicant to prove the 1995 structure was permitted. You even admit you don't know if it was built in 95 or before or after. No one knows. So the burden of proof is really on the owner to prove that. They failed. Furthermore, the structure facilitates an unpermitted commercial business. As my video of the mower fleet proves, that you can see, and I have words, transcripts. I ask you to follow your own precedents of VA 2171. Deny this request and mandate the removal of these unpermitted structures from the drainage easement, please. And that's all I have to say. I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Anyone else here would like to speak? Gentlemen, can I get a motion, please?
Mr. Chairman, I recommend approval with conditions for file VA 260501, variance to reduce building setbacks at 417 Hastings Place.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries. Next item, H1C2 variance 26-05-02, 4044 Mulliken Road. And that is, I'm sorry, got to go to the next page. Danielle? No,
It's Dylan.
I'm sorry. I see it now. Dylan. It's
Yes,
yours.
sir. As you said, this is an application for a variance to section 90-144, placement of buildings and structures. The applicant is seeking an 8-foot tall fence where a 6-foot tall fence is only allowed. This shows the location of the property on the southern side of Blackstone Camp Road, Mulliken Road. Sorry about that. This parcel is zoned R2. However, of note, there is some R1 zoning around. 8-foot tall fences are allowed in that zoning district. That just adds a little bit of context that the proposed fence with this application isn't going to necessarily stand out as much in, given that context. This is an aerial view of the site, and this is the existing site. The applicant is requesting the 8-foot tall fence due to some topographical downslope that's also pictured in some site photos that we have here. As you can see, her house as well as the neighboring houses often feature above-ground pools or raised decks, along with the slope Those create a lot of visibility between these rear yards. And so she is requesting, due to the existing conditions of the site, that she might be allowed to install her own 8-foot tall fence. She does not intend to touch or alter in any way her neighbor's existing 6-foot fence, and so she is simply proposing to install her own 8-foot tall fence. Given the topographical issues, the county is comfortable with this request and recommending approval.
Thank you, Dylan. Would the owner or applicant, Cindy Ibram, like to come forward and add anything? Okay, thank you. Any other member would like to come forward and speak in favor or against? Gentlemen, can I get a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to recommend approval of file VA 260502, variance to allow 8-foot fence at 404 Mulliken Road.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries. Next item, H1C3. This is RZ 26-05-01, a rezoning from RA to PUD. And this is Danielle.
Yes, sir. This is a kind of multi-part request. It includes a rezoning of 2 parcels from residential agricultural to planned residential development, as well as revisions to the existing PRD for Tillery Park. So the primary parcels involved for the rezoning piece are kind of these 2 to the south, and then Tillery Park is to the north of those, and we do have some revisions there as well. So again, the 2 parcels under consideration to the south are currently zoned residential agricultural. Tillery Park itself is already a planned residential development. You do have Quaker Knoll to the west, which is R2, single-family residential, and then other RA properties along Wrightsboro Road. These properties are currently undeveloped, and you can see the existing site here with the roadside fencing. And this is the current plan for Tillery Park. The revision includes some changes to the layout that we'll see in just a moment, as well as a revision to the development standards for the activity fields in future sections of this development. County code for a community recreation area does require a 20-foot structural buffer. The applicants are requesting to remove that requirement, stating that they want the residents to be able to see into these areas. County code's intended to provide separation, these are kind of separate and competing planning interests, that we want to protect the neighbors from some of the noise and things that can go along with the activity fields, but allowing residents to see into them helps create some community and provide some eyes on the street, some safety benefits as well. In this context, within their own development, the applicant's desire for that community feel is understandable and acceptable, and we don't have any concerns with that revision. On the rezoning side, the applicants are proposing to rezone these 2 parcels fronting on Wrightsboro Road to planned residential development. They are using similar development standards to those in Tillery Park, although this would be a separate development. They are proposing a minimum lot size of 5,500 square feet with 7.5-foot side setbacks. The development standards would allow for backlighting of the entrance sign, similar to what exists at Tillery Park. And you can see the several park spaces on here, the similar concept that all of the lots should be within a 7-minute walk of those parks. They are proposing a smaller rear setback for this development at 5 feet. That does intrude somewhat into the typical drainage and utility easement that's on the rear. So there's some things to be worked out there as this development moves forward. The primary access to this site would be from Wrightsboro Road, but it would connect into Tillery Park, and that's where you see some of the other revisions to Tillery Park is in the adjacent lot layout and road layout to encourage the connectivity between these developments. Ultimately, with this connection, this gives this development, Light Hill Creek, Tillery Park, and Canterbury Farms multiple access points. Because essentially you'll be able to get out at this access on Wrightsboro Road, the main Tillery Park entrance on Baker Place, or out to Chamblin by going through Canterbury Farms. So that greatly enhances connectivity in this area. This concept plan has been reviewed in conjunction with the rezoning request, and there were very few additional concerns. The state waters determination has already been completed and should not impact the plan. There are some wetlands areas on this site that are shown on the concept. The applicants believe those are isolated and can be filled as part of this development, but that determination ultimately rests with the Corps of Engineers. In terms of our future land use, this property is in the medium-density residential character area. This area is intended to provide for additional single-family residential development, and that is what this proposal is for, is additional single-family. And so it meets the intent of that character area, and staff is recommending approval.
Thank you, Danielle. Were the owners Light Hill Creek LLC and Tillery Park Development LLC, or applicant Ivy Development LLC? If you would like to come forward and add anything, just state your name and address for the record, please. You have 5 minutes.
Jason Winkter with Ivy Development and Tillery Park Development, 672 Industrial Park Drive, Evans. We are the applicant for the Light Hill Creek rezoning and also the developer for Tillery Park. I think Danielle did a very good job on the summary on this. Happy to answer any questions, but it does add a much higher level of connectivity between numerous neighborhoods and probably a lot of other places have, so that's a positive. We do want to make it a seamless transition between what we're calling Light Hill Creek and Tillery Park, so we're using basically all the same standards from Tillery Park, so as you're driving through, you don't really notice difference from one to the other. And then the last request on the PRD revision, other than the change in the road layout to make the tie-in, was not requiring the structural buffer around the parks. We feel like when people buy in Tillery Park, they already know where the parks are going. It's not going to be a surprise to them. So, if they would like to install privacy fences on their lot lines to block off the parks, and that's up to them. But, we'd like to give them the option for that. So that's my quick summary, too, on top of Danielle's, and happy to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Do we have any questions?
No, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other member of the audience would like to come forward and speak in favor or against? Gentlemen, can I get a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to recommend approval of file RZ 26-05-01, rezoning from RA to PRD for properties off 5703 and off Wrightsboro Road, and major PRD revision for properties off Baker Place Road.
Second.
I have a motion and a second on the floor. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries. Next item, H1C4, a rezoning, RZ 26-05-02. And this is Danielle.
Yes, sir. This is a request for a rezoning from C2 General Commercial to M1 Light Industrial at 3985 Gordon Highway. This shows the location of the property on the north side of Gordon Highway, just south of the railroad tracks. And it is currently zoned C2. It's been zoned that way since 1982. You can see the properties to either side are zoned light industrial already, although the one to the east is in residential use. Properties on the other side of the railroad tracks are also zoned light industrial. And this shows the aerial of the site. The site does look a little bit different today. The applicant has a business license on this property for Harlem Paint and Body and has been in the process of developing the site for that purpose. Some of that work has been done without permits, so we'll be seeing variance requests related to that work in a moment. So this is the existing site. And what is triggering the rezoning request is the applicant is intending to add a towing service to this property. That is considered an industrial rather than a commercial use, so it cannot operate under the existing C2 zoning. But the requested M1 zoning will allow both the body shop and the proposed towing business. There is a use provision related to that for the vehicle storage. Requires a 10-foot structural buffer around the storage area. You can see there is a chain link fence around the property. However, that does not create the required buffer. That requires an opaque fence as well as landscaping. So that will need to be addressed as part of the site improvements. The health department has also noted that they do not have records for the septic system on this property. So they do have a condition as well requiring the applicants to have the septic tank pumped and provide a letter certifying that the system is functional. The fire department also has conditions on this request. Any additional expansion of the building on the property will require installation of a fire hydrant. There is public water nearby, but there's not a fire hydrant in this location. The subject property is in the medium-density residential character area on the future land use map. This is primarily for single-family residential development, which this is clearly not. However, this property has been zoned commercial for quite some time. And the M1 zoning is in keeping with the adjacent parcel zoning pattern, even though it's not the current use of those properties at this time. With installation of the buffer, that should ensure the site remains compatible with the neighbors. So staff is recommending approval with those conditions from the fire department that any future building additions will require addition of a fire hydrant. From the health department requiring that the septic system be pumped and that they provide the health department with a letter stating that the tank is intact. And an additional condition that they cannot park or drive over the existing septic tank and drain lines. And then from our department, the requirement for the 10-foot structural buffer to be installed along the eastern property line prior to renewal of the business license for 2027.
Thank you, Danielle. The owners, Stephen or Jennifer Jankus, would like to come forward and add anything? Okay. We have any questions? Any other member would like to speak on behalf of this? Gentlemen, can I get a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to recommend approval with conditions to file RZ 260502, rezoning from C2 to M1 at 3985 Gordon Highway.
Second.
I have a motion and a second on the floor. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries. Next item, H1C5, variance, 3985 Gordon Highway. And this is Danielle.
Yes, sir. This is the related variance requests that we just mentioned at 3985 Gordon Highway. This is variances to multiple sections, including building setbacks, parking, and placement of buildings and structures. Again, we're looking at the same property on the north side of Gordon Highway, and it is currently still zoned C2, general commercial. Of note, these variance requests are not related to whether or not the rezoning is approved. They would be required whether this property stays C2 or is rezoned to M1. This shows the previous aerial of the site prior to the work that has been done. And the general concept plan shows what has been completed on the property so far. There has been a front porch addition added to the front of the building. That brings the building 8 feet closer to Gordon Highway. That does bring it a couple feet into the building setback. It's a small enough intrusion, it could have been done with a minor waiver, but since we were already processing variances, we have folded that setback request in with the other variances. It is a minor intrusion, not likely to create any safety concerns, and there's no particular concerns with allowing that minor setback reduction. You can also see that there's a significant area of gravel parking that's been added. That includes both customer parking in front of the building as well as storage behind the building. That is all surrounded by a chain link fence. It is 6 feet across the front, but it is 10 feet around the sides. For county code for commercial properties, that fence is allowed to be 8 feet tall with up to 2 feet of barbed wire. So effectively a 10-foot height, but it's usually split between the fence itself and a barbed wire addition. In this case, they've already done the 10-foot chain link fence, and in some respects, that's a little less industrial looking than adding barbed wire on top. So we're okay with letting them keep that 10-foot fence as well, with the condition that if anything happens to it, they replace it with a compliant fence. In regards to the gravel parking, this is a fairly common variance request, but not necessarily one that is often approved. Particularly in the case of customer parking, gravel parking is typically not allowed by the county. However, this is an industrial use, and they do need a significant amount of storage, and they're in a fairly rural area. So use of gravel for the storage area is probably acceptable with sufficient screening. So we do have a proposed condition to require additional landscaping in front of the fence across the storage area, and also to require paving of the customer parking to kind of keep up with the county's goals of enhancing commercial properties. This shows the existing fence that we would be allowing to remain. That is the 10-foot chain link fence. This shows the customer parking in front of the building, which would need to be paved per the current proposed conditions. And then the gravel storage area at the back, which again, with the current proposed conditions, could remain with additional landscaping in front of that 6-foot chain link fence you see on the kind of the left side of the picture. So again, we are dealing with multiple variances to reduce the front setback for the existing porch, to allow gravel parking, and to allow the 10-foot tall fence. And we are recommending approval with several conditions. The fire department reiterated that any future building additions will require the addition of a fire hydrant. And then from our department, that the customer parking in front of the building must be paved, and the parking lot landscaping and landscape strip along Gordon Highway installed prior to the end of the calendar year. And then the landscape plan shall additionally include evergreen shrubs in front of the storage area fence to provide screening for the storage area. And then also the condition that the 10-foot tall fence may remain. However, no additional barbed wire can be added to the top. And if it is damaged or replaced, it must be replaced with a fence complying with county code. Stormwater management also has a condition regarding the gravel parking. If it is allowed to remain, they will need to do a stormwater analysis. That would also be part of the site plan. If these conditions hold and they are required to pave the customer parking, they would get a stormwater report as part of that site plan as well. So kind of regardless, they're gonna have to get an engineer involved on how to handle stormwater on this site.
Okay, thank you, Danielle. Do you have anything else to add? Okay. Anyone else would like to speak on this matter? Gentlemen, can I get a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to recommend approval with conditions to file VA 260503, variances to allow a 10-foot fence, reduce the front building setback, and allow a portion of the gravel parking at 3985 Gordon Highway.
Second.
I have a motion on the floor and a second. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries. Next item, H1C6. This is a condition, let's see, what is this? Conditional use for the indoor recreation, RZ 26-05-03. Dylan?
Yes, sir. As you said, this is a conditional use request for indoor recreation for an indoor golf simulation and training facility. This shows the location of the parcel off of McCrary Court and Columbia Industrial Boulevard. This shows that the zoning and uses lining Industrial Park Drive are generally industrial, and they have been for some time. In fact, this site, as we'll see now, has been developed for a multi-tenant facility. The applicant is looking again to make use of one of the suites in this structure shown here for a golf simulation and training facility. He's coaching people to improve their golf games. This is a relatively low-intensity use. However, under the umbrella of indoor recreation, there are some other uses within Columbia County Code that are a little more concerning. As you can see, parking is somewhat limited at this site. Indoor recreation uses can be things like schools of the arts or indoor party facilities or event facilities or gyms, which don't necessarily keep all of their uses interior to the building like this one does. That's pretty much the only concern. He's not proposing any site changes. And so staff is proposing a condition limiting the indoor recreation approval for that range of uses to one suite within the structure so that those other differing uses from the one requested with this application don't populate the other suites within this building and cause issues like excess noise to the area or the other tenants within the building or excess parking to spill over onto the street. And so provided that condition can be met, staff is generally comfortable with the request. Additionally, again, while this parcel is within the traditional neighborhood character area within the county, it has industrial zoning with approved industrial uses. Indoor recreation is a conditional use within that zoning district that this parcel has held for a long time. They're not proposing a zoning change. They're just proposing adding a fully interior use to the site. And so staff is still comfortable, provided that differentiation with the character area.
Thank you, Dylan. Will the owner, MBH Holdings Incorporated, or applicant Gary Crisson, would like to come forward and add anything? And come to the podium, state your name and address for the record, please.
Thank you. I'm Gary Cresson, 1149 Sumter Landing Circle in Evans. I am the person in use of this facility. I am a golf coach. I work with a lot of high-level players. I work with people one-on-one. This space provides 2 parking spots in front of the suite. That's all I need. I can park in excess parking in my own vehicle, so parking is really not an issue. The usage of recreation, I would say, I feel like I'm more of a school, that I'm training high-level athletes and aspiring juniors and college players, amateurs. So this facility has been a very good fit for what I'm looking for. There will be no outdoor use. It's all indoor, and it's a quiet space for the light industrial. So if you guys have any questions, I'm happy to answer them. Yeah, I think it's a great fit for the community too.
All right, we have any questions? Thank you, appreciate that. Thank you. Any other member tonight would like to speak concerning this matter? Gentlemen, can I get a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to recommend approval with condition of file RZ 260503, conditional use for indoor recreation at 3001 McCrary Court.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries. Next item, H1C7. This is rezoning, RZ 26-05-04. And this is Will.
Thank you, Sheriff's request for rezoning on property that's located off Baker Place Road, but not really. It's actually located off Dublin Loop, about 54.8 acres. The request is to rezone to PRD, proposed single-family residential development. This location of the property, again, accessed off of Dublin Loop in the back of the Clark subdivision. Existing zoning is currently zoned RA. I will be talking about the property to the west coming up next for an expansion of the quarry. To the north is existing Vulcan quarry. You have some more RA to the east there, and then to the south is Kalari subdivision. Here's an overview of the site and the existing site itself, and also the Alta survey. This is a part of an overall much larger property. There are some questions with the actual survey of the property, but again, this is the best we have on the remaining property that we're dealing with here. So the overall concept is for a development that is separate from Kalari. It is accessed off of Dublin Loop. This is a public road, and it is a separate development. It is not part of their development, not part of their HOA, nothing like that. I want to be really clear about that. It's basically 75 lots. They're very similar to Kalari, like we saw earlier with Light Hill Creek, excuse me. The intention is to have it look like the rest of Kalari in some respects. Lot size are about 8,400 square foot is a minimum lot size. Building setbacks 20 feet from the front, 10 feet on the sides, 20 feet on the back. Again, very similar to Kalari, but again, totally separate. This piece of property does have some interesting topo, and also the quarries being nearby. There's also a rock on the site. That was part of the reason it was not included with the original Kalari development. There's going to be a fun one to develop, but they're confident they can do that. In terms of the overall site itself, it's basically a third is made up of floodplain, a third is made up of green space, and a third of it is made up of the actual development itself. So again, difficult site. You have to cross the creek to get there. It's a fun one. In terms of future land use, this is within the medium density residential character area. Again, we've already seen those a couple of times tonight. That this is for single family development. This is an extension of that. So it meets the intent of the future land use map. So regarding the condition that was originally with this request, we've had some discussions internally. With Kalari, when it was developed back in 2014, there was a traffic study that said that basically at the second phase of Kalari, a turn lane should be built on Baker Place Road. Did not happen. We're not sure how it didn't happen, that sort of thing. So this time, Engineering Services has decided that they will take on making sure this turn lane actually happens, and they're removing their condition from this request. So staff is changing our recommendation to just a straight approval of the request for this rezoning to PRD. That includes staff recommendation.
Thank you, Will. Would the owners, John Blanchard, John Coleman, or any member of the Pollard Land Company Incorporated, or applicant Bert Pollard, if you would like to come forward and add anything that Will has. Just state your name and address for the record, please. You have 5 minutes.
My name is Bert Pollard, 5863 Washington Road. Very generally, so this is the 8th section of this whole development. It was not developed by the previous developer, so I'm the landowner. And so we've taken care, like Will said, to make sure that that is very similar to what is there. And any questions y'all have, I can try to answer.
Okay, do I have any questions?
You ain't worried about the rock?
We've done a lot of work to make sure we can do it. So, yeah.
Ms. Pollard, so this, originally, when the whole Kalari thing was originally being planned, that was intended at that point to be part of Kalari?
Correct.
Wasn't it, till it
Yes, and I don't want
cost?
to, yes, that's actually phase, that was one of the phases, that was the last phase that was supposed to happen. And at the end of phase 7, the company developing the land decided they were going to go elsewhere.
So they fell short of what they'd initially agreed to do.
Correct, and so that's why I'm here. I've not zoned anything else in that area. We've just sold the land. And, I mean, I've been a part of it, but not having to zone it. I don't want to say the name. Y'all can go look on the records and see who it was. I don't want to make that part of public record. I mean, it already is, but. And so we're just basically doing what we were set out to do in the very beginning. So nothing different, nothing. Actually, the lot sizes are bigger than the lot sizes that are in Keelery. There's sidewalks that are requested and everything. I mean, it's very, very similar. We aren't trying to change the nature of the neighborhood. We're not trying to do any of that. All we're trying to do is just develop the last section that was supposed to be there when we started, I don't know, 15, 20 years ago.
Okay, any more questions?
Okay.
Thank you. Anyone else would like to come forward and speak? Just state your name and address for the record, please.
Yeah, of course. Ashley Keller. I live in Grovetown. I live in Kalari, so thank you for the opportunity to speak here today. Prior to this meeting, I sent Mr. Butler, and he provided that he received it, so it should be included in your packet, a petition from the members of the Kalari community that contained over 200 signatures. Also want to put into record that this is the actual petition, and we're now at 234 signatures. Will was very helpful in answering a lot of my questions, so thank you very much. I want to make clear about the petition. We didn't advertise that or broadcast that or put that anywhere else out into the community. We wanted to make sure that that really represented the voices of the community that this will impact, which is Kalari community members. So that was strictly just Kalari community members who feel like they want their voices heard and they don't approve of this concept plan that's being proposed here. I heard the gentleman, but the fact of the matter is that this is a separate neighborhood that should be treated separately from Kalari. So our community understands that growth is a part of Columbia County's future. However, growth must be planned responsibly and in a manner that does not negatively impact the safety, and I want to really highlight the safety part, character, and quality of life of existing neighborhoods. One of our primary concerns is traffic and public safety. This proposal would add approximately 150 additional vehicles traveling through our neighborhood on a daily basis, along with significant increase in construction traffic during development. I don't know if any of you have been to this actual site, but Dublin Loop is a huge hill with a ton of blind spots. So think about children playing outside in the streets, or you're walking your dog, and then there's these massive construction sites, trucks, going in and out. So our roads are already narrow, hilly, and contain multiple blind spots. Adding these large vehicles will cause serious safety concerns for our community. We're also concerned about the characterization of this development within the staff report. This proposed development should not simply be viewed as an extension of Kalari. Existing homeowners made significant financial and personal decisions based on the understanding that the land behind us and adjacent to their homes would remain undeveloped and would not include a major access road. And that's what you're looking for, is if you approve this, you're approving a major access road to these people's, right next to these people's homes. Additionally, we are troubled that no environmental study has been required for this project. The presence of protected wetlands in the area should warrant careful environmental review before any approval is considered. Protecting these natural resources should be a priority for the county and future generations. So we respectfully request that the commission deny this rezoning request as currently proposed and require the developer to identify an alternative access point, that does not route traffic through an established residential neighborhood. The residents of this county are not opposed to progress. However, many citizens increasingly feel that rapid growth and development are being prioritized over the quality of life, safety, and reasonable expectations of the families who already live here. So, thank you very much. We hope, again, if they want to build it, that's great. They should find a different road that doesn't go through our neighborhood. So, thank you.
Thank you. Does anyone else who would like to come forward, please step up to the podium, state your name and address for the record, please.
Hi, yes, my name's Amanda Canfield. I live exactly in the middle of this, where this community is going to go. It's two houses down for where the bridge will go over the creek. And I can tell you that we were promised, and we paid extremely high lot rates because we were ensured that that back there was not going to be developed. There are wildlife back there. I sit on my porch every day. I watch bald eagles. I watch hawks. They should not be disturbed. This community needs to be studied more. I have a big problem with the safety aspect of it. One road in and out only over a bridge doesn't seem very safe to me. I just think it's a very bad idea, and it's been rushed, and it should not be approved based on the fact that somebody wants to make money. This is our lives, this is our families, and this is our property values. I respectfully ask for you to stop this before it goes any further.
Ms. Canfield, who told you that there would never be any development back there? The realtor or the developer of Kalari?
We paid lot premiums based on the fact that that was green back there, that was wetlands, that wasn't going to be developed.
To the developer, or was it the realtor that told you that?
I'd have to look at our contract and see exactly what it says, but I can tell you that we were assured that that was not going to be developed, that it was wetlands, and that it was a 100-year floodplain, that nobody in their right mind would even build back there. So, I mean, the fact is, the matter is, somebody's trying to make money by rushing this and want to take every scrap of this land and try to build on it. Doesn't matter what it does to the environment, doesn't matter what it does to our home values, doesn't matter what it does to our families. We have been through years of construction being promised that this is the last phase of Kalari, that when this was over, the dust, the noise, the constant rattling of our houses, of major equipment going down our streets was going to be over. And now they're going to tell us we're going to look for another 2-3 years of this. It's absolutely insane, and it should be stopped. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other person would like to come forward?
Good evening.
State your name and address for the record, please.
David Norwood, 207 Dublin Loop. A year and 4 months ago, my wife and I relocated from Indianapolis, Indiana. Our house sits right on the edge of where they're proposing a bridge to go through. My bedroom sits on the side of where this bridge is proposed. I don't have a problem with anybody making money. I worked for the Treasury Department for over 40 years. Okay? Where's the gentleman there? God bless you. Okay? However, if this is approved, I want some kind of structure on the side of that bridge where I will not hear traffic at all. I think I deserve that. You need to think about that. You put yourself in my place, okay? Everything that Mrs. Canfield just shared with you is true, okay? But now here we are, because some of us didn't get accurate information. Do you hear what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
I love it here. I came here for a reason. I like the way people treat me here versus where I came from. Please, think about it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other person would like to come forward?
Hi, my name's William Hess. I'm at 236 Dublin Loop in Grovetown. I like David, he's my neighbor. I find it interesting that your paper describes this as something off Baker Place. Should be off Baker Place. I don't see Dublin Loop anywhere on this paper. I talked to Danielle earlier today. Thank you, Danielle, for the information you gave us. I understand the zoning is changing 2.5 acre parcels to regular residential, which is about 1/4 acre. What that means to me and all the people on Dublin Loop is that instead of about 20 parcels being developed, and we all know there's progress, so 20 parcels at 2.5 acres each, there's your 50 acres. Now you're talking about 8,000 square foot pieces of land, that's less than 1/4 acre. That's gonna be 200 plus homes. 200 homes, 1.5 cars per house, that's 300 cars after all the construction's done. Dublin Loop is a narrow road. Like I said, I've lived there only 6 months. The people that I walk my dog every night, we're all in the same boat. We don't want this thing going through. I understand progress has to happen, but this is baloney. You know, I don't want to start cursing. Like I said, I want to keep it professional. I've been in finance for 40 years. I retired 6 months ago. I too came out here to Georgia. My daughter moved here about a 1.5 years ago. We came out on vacation this summer, fell in love with that neighborhood. Beasley Homes is the developer that's been in this area for 40 plus years. The realtor we met with walked us the sites. This is the residential area. Yeah, there's 55 acres that can be developed, but there's no more than 20 homes. Not 200 homes. And there's a school bus stop right by where this bridge is gonna go. It's baloney, guys. Like I said, put yourself in our shoes. The neighborhood is a neighborhood. I didn't sign that community thing because I didn't know about it. I was walking my dog and I see the sign that says Planning Commission tonight at 6 p.m. I'm coming off cancer surgery and treatments. It was an ordeal for me to get here tonight, but I felt strongly enough to come down here. And I love the local news, Channel 54 with Jay Jeffries in the morning. You know, we watch the Planning Commission's meeting, and I swear to God, it seems like a lot of times, rubber stamp all four, everyone raises their hand, yet this thing goes through. Data center, yes. Data center, yes. This can't go through, guys. This is baloney. I'm telling you. I mean, I tried to get Channel 54 down here tonight. I don't know if they're recording, and I'm not like the other guy that's recording, and I have nothing against profit. Like I said, I was in finance for 40 years. You know, this Bert Pollard, I know he wants to make money. Let him sell those 20 plots, 2.5 acres. But not 200 homes back there, guys. Like I said, think about it. I'm hoping this is vote, if it's tonight, I sure hope you guys don't approve it. If 236 people sign this petition, and I didn't know the petition existed until last night when I'm talking to my two neighbors across the street, both of them retired military, they've got meetings today, they couldn't be here. Believe me, we could have 500 people filling these seats down here, and they're all just as avid as me about not wanting this to go through. So like I said, I don't want to take more than my 5 minutes, but please think, don't push this thing through, because once you do, we all know, there's no going back. Taxes go up, they never come down. Gas prices go up, they're not coming down. You put that thing in, there's no way to turn the clock back. You know, Bert Pollard wants to make his money, make money on 20 homes, not 200 plus homes.
It's supposed to be 75, is it not?
200 homes because of 75 lots, correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, 75 versus 20, that's 400%. That's a lot more traffic. That's a lot more, and like I said, my home was one of the final stages that Beasley put in there. So I didn't have all the big construction vehicles. They've just done some drainage, and I understand environmental impacts and stuff. I guarantee you those studies haven't been done because there's still dredging areas for drainage in that area. And the neighbor that's right across from me is in my boat. He bought here assuming that these things were in place. He says, I'm going to sell my home. I mean, you talk about quality of life. People are retiring to this area. Like David, I met him. His poor wife, Charlene, was our HOA treasurer. She just passed away. She'd be rolling over in her grave if she heard this bullshit. Pardon my language. I mean, guys, you need to really think about this. That's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Will, do we have any idea of how many homes are currently in,
I'm sorry, what was the question?
how many homes are currently in this development?
I don't. It's at least 500, so.
500, okay. 550. Okay, state your name and address.
Mr. Chairman, good evening, everybody. My name is Heather Armstrong, and I am a proud owner in Kellery myself. I've been there since 2020. And I just kind of, everything that my neighbors have said, I completely concur, and I feel the very same way. We are not on board with the new development that they're proposing. It's the noise issue, it's the rumbling of the big trucks all over our neighborhood issue. And, so I'm not going to repeat everything that my neighbor said. What I do want to say, though, I want to speak to the charm and character of our neighborhood. We have families that walk our sidewalks, and we have kids that are out in the, yards playing, and, we don't want to compromise that type of character and charm in our neighborhood. I have a teenage daughter. She's out in the neighborhood. We have a pool. We have all these amenities, and we have a beautiful, charming neighborhood. We don't want our lifestyle, our quality of life compromised just for this development. We are not for it, and I certainly ask that you all vote against this, because I, along with my neighbors, we share the same feelings. We would not want our lifestyle compromised for this. So thank you for your time. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Gail Lacerno. I live at 211 Dublin Loop. So James and Ms. Canfield are my neighbors. The three of us are the three houses that are directly next to where this new road is going to go in. My backyard is where I'll be looking at all of this new development. I bought this property. I chose this particular house because it sat on this side of the property with the wetlands and all of the trees behind me. It's all natural. It's very quiet, other than perhaps some quarry noise, but that's another issue. As everybody has already mentioned, I have big concerns about this new development, what's going to happen when all of those trees come out, what's going to happen to the wetlands in between and storm drainage, the traffic for the construction and all of that coming in and out. The only entrance being right there, 2 houses down from me, that goes through a traffic circle and then out to Baker Place Road, where there is no left turn lane, there's no traffic light. All of this coming in and out, where as it is now, at times, school buses have trouble getting down the streets if cars are parked in front of the house. I don't know how all of this is going to happen. I don't think Baker Place can handle all of this new traffic. I have had occasions where when I'm trying to exit my neighborhood, turn left onto Baker Place to get out, and end up waiting 5 minutes or more as the traffic goes by, because there's no street lights, there's no turn lanes to try to get out of the neighborhood. Increasing that for construction traffic, plus 75 additional houses, count 150 additional cars coming in and out every day at various times, is just going to make it crazy. So I am totally against this approval of this project. And I have severe concerns about this happening at the same time as the proposed quarry changes. What kind of environmental impact is that going to have? Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else come forward?
Good evening, gentlemen. My name is Edward Williams. I live at 1827 Mallow Street. That's right there in the development. I I'm here as a individual person, but I also am a member of the HOA, and there's been a lot of comments coming from the homeowners there about this new development that's going in, about what the problem may be is, as far as traffic and drainage and parking, and the development currently has a pool that's for the homeowners of Calera. We suspect that somebody will eventually try to use our facility as a result of this being so close to us in the back there. I walk that community in the mornings because I like to walk. I moved here from Washington, D.C. 3 years ago, and the walking has brought me to the weight I am now. I'm looking slim and trim just by walking that neighborhood, okay? I lost 30 pounds by walking the current streets that's in Calera development. And so my wife and I, we vote no, and we hope you all will vote no about this new development, adding, as the gentleman said, 75 to 150 new homes possibly. So thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else would like to come forward?
Yeah, thank you, I appreciate it. I'll probably need just a few minutes, but I don't think it'll be very long.
Name and address for the record, please.
That's Mike Mills. I
Okay.
came up before.
Okay, yes, you have
yeah.
5 minutes.
Yeah, I wanted, my name's, like I said, Mike Mills. We had moved here to be close to grandchildren about a year and a half ago. We have a new home in Clark subdivision built by Bill Beasley. We're really enjoying it there. After a lot of observation study, I'd like to suggest maybe a third option on this. I tend to be an idealistic dogmatist by nature, but I'll go ahead and present this anyway. I'd like to keep the PUD. I didn't realize it was originally zoned PUD for the purpose of developing a town center type of possible development in West Grovetown. I think Mr. Blanchard would make as much or more money, and that's the case. Let me briefly suggest why I think it's appropriate. There's three main reasons, and I presented this at the county commissioners meeting about a year ago. Currently, there's maybe, with the new developments, over 3,500 houses in 4 contiguous neighborhoods in that area off Baker Place roads. There's absolutely no shopping venues, coffee houses, restaurants, or any venues where people can socialize, talk politics, get together or talk. Absolutely nothing. I think there's none of the sort of things that people really want in a modern type city, what they expect. It's basically turned into a pure commuter community. I think another concern is there's just excessively large areas that are single-use planned. Current planning zoning concepts for town centers exist in the form of a PUD, but they're not adequately utilized to accommodate this. And they're certainly not aggressively pursued with intentional planning. I come from Lafayette, Louisiana, and where I moved, we had a development, River Ranch, that required the changing or the variation of dozens of zoning restrictions, but it's also become one of the country's most successful town centers in the country. It provides recreation, meeting spaces, upscaled mixed housing, and small service businesses. Third is the overload of traffic and current developmental errors that I think will be exacerbated. The current zoned residential area, I think, is just too big. I've seen the map. And more imperative needs are not and will not be met if this particular thing goes through. There's bigger developments now. This isn't the end of the world, but we're running out of space to do this kind of thing and to meet these kind of needs, okay? Additional residential additions will overload traffic. I think they'll affect house prices. More importantly, it's going to preclude future mixed-use development traffic flow. 3 current examples, I think, of errors and a bad situation that will be exacerbated is the 2-lane bridge over I-20. It already services increasing vehicle count. So that's the one road that needs to be really safe, but it doesn't even have a shoulder on it. And we're going to have more traffic on there. Number 2, a single inadequate exit entrance at the high school bottlenecks traffic. I think everyone knows that. Number 3, the placement of the Tillery Park extension adjacent to I-20 on its northern edge. It'll preclude any needed future service road along I-20. I can't believe that. I don't understand why the federal government or the county government doesn't get involved in that. I thought that was a requirement by an interstate. Traffic at the high school, intersections will continue to pile up. I think because there would be an assortment of services if we had Commerce. Town center, similar to a scale down Hammond's Ferry or even Evans Town Center on a much smaller scale, would divert noticeable traffic from Horizon Parkway. Proposals, I think we need mixed-use zoning. I'd like to requestably pose the question to Mr. Blanchard, see if he would consider a mixed-use PUD for the development to enhance livability, divert some traffic, and offer easy foot access to the area. To basically what has become a car traffic only 1950 suburban sprawl type development. I think small office businesses, overhead upscale living units, attractive walkable boulevards and coffee shops. All this is possible if we take action on this. It's visionary, but I think it's needed. I think 50 years from now, we could look back and we could say, this would really be a fine moment in our development, certainly be different. And it's harder to do, but I think we need it. Access, we talked about access tonight. Widen Misty Meadows Road for access from High Meadows Road. Build new access directly from High Meadows Road, tying into a roundabout at a new Misty Meadows Road intersection. I know I don't have a map, but we can look it up. Build foot access, traffic access from the adjacent Kalari subdivision, instead of access through there and having the traffic come in from along High Meadows Road, widen that road, come in from the south, and we would still have shopping access through footbridges going through Kalari neighborhood on. And then the last thing I'll deal with, and I'll shut it down. I just think we need to accelerate general proactivity and planning. I come from a high growth area in the oil and gas industry in Lafayette, so I've seen a lot of this. I think the planning process needs to be more proactive. I think the type of development should be the goal, if not a requirement, for this size contiguous residential areas, not only here, but throughout the county. PUD should be intentionally zoned ahead and marketed aggressively. Establish temporary town center professional boards and authorities to do the job. Advertise to find stakeholders. Engage town center planners. These people exist, and they'd be glad to do the work, and I'm sure they would work with Mr. Blanchard on this. Vision 2035, I think, really missed the mark on this issue. Don't wish, but make it happen. Don't wait for the highest bidder, the issue of the landowner. You guys are planners, you're not suggestion makers. I hope that, I'm not trying to be ugly, but y'all have the authority. Take the initiative to rezone property after careful consideration.
Your time's up. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Nobody wants that.
Anyone else would like to come forward and speak?
My name is Robert Laconis, 739 Bancroft Drive, which is inside of Kalari. Will, thank you for responding to my email quickly. Appreciate that. My biggest concern is the level of service that's going to happen to Baker Place, given all the other developments that's going on there. Adding another, however many cars come out of this final phase is going to impact that intersection of Kalari and Baker Place, without a doubt. Between like 4:30 to 6:30, speed limit's 45. If you go looking to your left, if you're trying to exit Kalari, there's a deceleration lane that when there's a car in that, it blocks the visibility to the left. There's also a slight grade change, so you got kind of a blind curve happening on that way. Same thing coming from the right. There's a curve that comes in and feeds in. We don't have that left turn lane. I don't know if that's a good idea, because this evening someone stopped to make a left turn. Person in front of me came out of Kalari and then got trapped behind them, and they were blocking the oncoming traffic from the left. So think about that. I'm not a traffic engineer. I'm a retired architect. So this level of service, I think, really needs to be looked at before anything is approved, because it's dicey out there during the high commute times, and y'all have one of the longest school zones I've ever seen without sidewalks. Y'all need to do something about that. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Gentlemen, can I get a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to recommend approval of file RZ 260504 rezoning from RA to PUD to PRD for property off Baker Place Road.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Oppose. Passes 3-1. Next item. H1C8 RZ26-05-05, rezoning from RA to S1, and this is Will.
There's sheriff's request for rezoned S1 special for proposed core and overburden storage, property located off Anderson Road, about 319.37 acres. This location of the property, again, access off Anderson Road. So in terms of zoning, currently zoned RA, property to the north is zoned S1 special for the existing Vulcan quarry. This is an expansion of that quarry. To the west is zoned R1 and also to the RA, excuse me, to the west, and then R1 for Anderson Farms. And then also we have Kalari to the east, as well as more property for the Vulcan quarry. Here's an aerial view of the site. And the existing site itself off Anderson Road. And the Alta for the lease area that's up for discussion tonight. So the overall concept plan, with this is primarily for overburden storage, which will be on the south side of the property there. They're going to be taking some existing overburden off of the existing quarry, putting it down on the south side of the site. They will be building buffers around the site itself. They'll be about 30 feet high. There's also a 100-foot undisturbed buffer around the site itself. I will see some illustrations of those buffers. In terms of kind of the overall area we're looking at about 142 acres for the overburden, and then about 75 for the quarry itself. Or excuse me, I got to have it backwards. 142 for the overburden, and then, oh goodness, let's see here. The remainder of it will be for the quarry. Excuse me. In terms of buffering, there is no buffer provided on the east side of the property. However, that is primarily wetlands. They're basically 400 feet from anything that is adjacent to them. The other thing too, the quarry side of this will not be in operation, they're saying, for 10 to 15 years. In terms of studies, we have quite a few with this. With quarries, we like to have multiple studies with them. They've done a traffic study with this. One of the things with the traffic study, their plan is to not bring anything additional onto Columbia Road. They're going to be taking the overburden that's currently on the site and bringing it to the site here, as well, to the site to the south. So again, nothing is going to change the traffic. It should actually be a little bit better. If the zone does not get approved, we're looking at about 40,000 trucks that'll be on the road in the next 3 or 4 years. The other thing too with this is we've got the blasting vibration air pressure overview study. You can confirm compliance with all the state of Georgia established ground vibration requirements, noise impact assessments, air quality, environmental impact assessment, wetlands and aquatic resources, threatened and endangered species habitat assessment, cultural resource review, and well water survey. We concur with all the studies that have been presented with this request. Again, quarries are a little odd from a land use standpoint. It's one that they're going to be located where the rock is. That's what it boils down to. You can't just put a quarry wherever you please. They have to go where the rock is itself. It's not like a commercial building. I can go build it somewhere. I can bring what I'm selling to it. People can come to it and do their thing. They're a little different. So a lot of times you don't really have a character area or anything like that says, yeah, this is where all the quarries are going to go. So what you're looking at is how do you mitigate the risk and potential issues for adjacent properties. With this, again, we have large buffers, we have berms with this. They've done their studies. Again, the thing with studies, as I've kind of said in the staff recommendation, if they don't do things correctly, then yeah, it could be a problem. But it's one of those you have to understand that that's always a risk with this. In terms of, you can go to the next slide here. Again, in terms of how they're doing everything, you see the berms here, gives you an idea of the heights we're looking at. Should be not visible to adjacent properties. There is some concern to the east with Kalari. It is one that there is a potential that there could be some visibility, but again, you have a large area that's undisturbed with both wetlands and also on other properties within Kalari. So it should be fairly well buffered in that. This shows a berm rendering showing you what it looks like on Highfield Drive with and without. Again, the 30-foot berm there provides a significant separation from the property itself. Also on Anderson Road, again, showing, the house there and then how it would look with the berm and the property line, 200-foot separation between the two, or 400-foot separation total between the two. And also in 5836 Anderson, again, similar thing with this. And then also at 2050 Rock Hill Lane, it's a little different than the other ones, but again, it still works from these renderings. In terms of future land use, this is in medium density residential. We talked about that a couple of times tonight. Again, this is not single family. It does not meet the intent, I will say. However, to the north here, there is the technology and industrial character area, which does include the quarry. This basically is an expansion of that basically an expansion of the existing quarry into this area. Also, there is no access to this property from anything that's done within medium density residential. So staff is comfortable taking that character area and extending it to the south. Lastly, we do have a condition with this, no access to the size perimeter from Anderson Road or Highfield Drive. Again, they already show an undisturbed buffer. We just want to be very clear that there will be nothing going onto this property from those two roads. That includes staff recommendation.
Thank you, Will.
So Will, the overburden,
Yeah,
it's basically dirt and debris that was removed
yeah,
previously for the existing dig, and they've got to have somewhere to put it.
that's correct.
And eventually, when they finish digging their hole, they say 10 to 15 years, that's when they'll start taking the rock out of the next phase.
That is correct.
Okay, with the owners, Robert Brown or Holly Brown or Paul Duckworth, or applicant of the Vulcan Construction Materials LLC would like to come forward. And state your name and address for the record, please.
Good evening, Lolita Jackson, 300 Colonial Center Parkway, Roswell, Georgia, 30076. Thank you so much. Let me first say thank you for the opportunity to review our application with you tonight. I serve as the Manager of Community and Government Relations for Vulcan, and I'm joined tonight by a number of team members who are available to answer any questions that you may have. I'm also joined by Chad Bell, our Vice President of Operations for our South Division, which includes our Augusta Quarry. Rusty Friendly, which I'm sure many of you know, our area manager, sends his regrets. He could not be here tonight, but I'm sure he's reached out to you about this exciting project over the past year or so. I like to briefly share a little bit with you about Vulcan Materials Company before I hand it over to Chad Bell to walk you through the application. Vulcan started way back in 1907 in Birmingham, Alabama, and has grown into one of the nation's most important providers of granite and other construction aggregate to help communities like Columbia County maintain their way of life. Each and every individual uses about 18,000 pounds of rock annually. So it is vital that communities have a good local source of aggregate, and Vulcan is proud to be that partner with you. And so a little bit about the significant projects that we've done in this community include the Evans. We've provided material for the Evans and Lakeside High School renovations project. We were very instrumental in recovery efforts after Hurricane Helene. Over the past 3 years, we've contributed upwards of $30,000 in cash donations to local organizations and programs, and more than 600 tons of materials donated to programs in the area and organizations in the area as well. We are members of the Columbia County Chamber of Commerce, and we are proud partners with Columbia Virtual Academy. We support Columbia County schools and various nonprofit initiatives in the community, such as the Boys and Girls Clubs of Greater Augusta, as well as the Scouts, the Girl Scouts, the Boy Scouts. We are proud of the fact that we host dozens of school field trips each on our site throughout the year, and we annually volunteer with the MLK Volunteer Day. I mentioned Hurricane Helene. During that time after the hurricane, we also donated $10,000 in cash to local food bank and helped provide resources for the Concerned Women program in Grovetown. So we appreciate all the support the community has given us, and we look forward to a continued positive relationship as we enter the next decade in this community. Again, thank you for volunteering your service on this commission. Thank you for your time. And now I'd like to turn it over to Chad so he can share some highlights with you about our application. Thank you.
Thank you.
Chad Bell, 5868 Columbia Road, Grovetown. Thank you for allowing me to speak to you this afternoon. The application before you is a request to rezone a parcel of property that we feel is integral to our long-range plans, as well as an important parcel for enhanced buffering of our quarry and future residential developments. If I may, I would like to quickly remind you of the intense regulations that we must adhere to on an annual basis. As you probably are aware, we are permitted by the state to operate this quarry, and that includes air monitoring, water quality monitoring, erosion and sediment control plans, as well as a very stringent employee safety protocols. Our industry truly is one of the most heavily regulated industries in the country. As a result, we receive numerous inspections throughout the course of a year, including state EPD air and water quality divisions, MSHA, and others. If I could brag for a moment, the Augusta Quarry has a tremendous record of compliance and a strong safety record. This matters to us because at Vulcan, we focus every day on doing the right thing, the right way, at the right time. That is the Vulcan way. This matters to you because if we are operating as required by law, our employees are safe. And that means we're also protecting the neighbors and the community around us. I will point out a few examples of this as we review our application. As I walk you quickly through some aspects of our application, I would first like to commend the staff for their very thorough and thoughtful review of our application. They did a very good job of pointing out the specifics of our request, and we appreciate their recommendation to you that you recommend approval to the County Commission. Here are the reasons we feel our application is worthy of approval. First, enhanced buffering and traffic reduction. The primary use of this new parcel of land will be for overburden storage. As we prepare areas of our property to be mined, there is a good bit of soil and some rock fragments that need to be moved to provide access to active mining areas. The soil and loose rocks are what we refer to as overburden. We will first use these materials to build berms around the perimeter of the site to provide additional privacy from our operations for the surrounding neighbors. These berms will be roughly 30 feet high, seeded, planted with trees to enhance the appeal from outside of our facility. If this application is not approved, we will still need to remove this dirt from our operation by trucking it from our site to another off-site location. Approving this plan will eliminate the need for us to send additional 40,000 truck trips in the next several years on nearby roads. This information is detailed in our traffic impact assessment included in our application. Secondly, our long-term economic and operational stability. As the mining operation continues for years to come, the rezoning allows us to move southward from our current operational area and remain within our tree-planted berms, providing as much distance as possible from our neighbors. This will allow the quarry to continue providing materials for the vital infrastructure projects in Columbia County for the next several decades. This production allows us to continue to provide good-paying jobs to approximately 30 people and to continue to provide a local direct economic impact to the community of over $38 million annually. You can find more information in the economic impact. In closing, we feel like our request is very simple. This quarry will be here for a long time and will be a proud partner with the community for the decades to come. However, we're presented with an opportunity here tonight to make our long-range plans even better. By granting this rezoning application, we will enhance the privacy of our operations for our neighbors. We will continue a safe and orderly development of our mining operation, and then we'll make the streets in our community safer by eliminating the need for over 40,000 truck trips in the years ahead. I want to thank each and every one of you for allowing me to speak tonight and your attention. I and the Vulcan team are here to answer any questions you may have about our application. Thank you.
I got a question. Do you remember when it opened? I know you probably don't remember, but what year did that rock quarry open on Columbia Road?
1977.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other member of the audience would like to come forward and speak? State your name and address for the record.
I'm Gail Lacerna. My address is 211 Dublin Loop. And as I mentioned earlier, when we were speaking about the other project, this project is adjacent to my property. If you look at the map that's there, where that point goes up on the northeast, just to the east of that is where that other development is.
You can draw on the screen.
Oh, I can. This is where the new development is going to be, and my house sits right here. I can tell you that I read through the entire proposal that Vulcan prepared, and I commend it. It was very well done, very detailed, and had a lot of information. What my concerns mainly are around the loss of the trees and how that might impact although there were a lot of environmental impact studies that were done with theirs, when you combine that with the other new neighborhood and all of the trees going, is that going to change things at all? And I don't know whether that can be done together. My other concern has to do with noise. The current mining operation that's happening up here, I will tell you, it's about 6:30 Monday morning, laying in my bed, I could hear stuff happening at the quarry. I could hear trucks, the beep, 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 beep of the trucks moving around. I could hear, I don't know whether they're rock crushers or something, there's a machine that runs that I can hear laying in my bed at 6:30 in the morning. There, a few times a week, or not a few times a week, a few times a month, there will be an explosion, a blast that is strong enough to shake my house. And I know those are just parts of the quarry, and that's one thing, but when I lose all of these tree buffers, is the noise going to get more? I'm not as concerned about the dust and all of that, but I am concerned about what's going to happen with noise when we lose all of the trees and what's going to happen with storm drainage when we lose trees in both of these properties. With all of the wetlands and the wildlands, the protected areas that are in between these properties, what's going to happen there? Although that is the wetlands over here on this side, a lot of the trees that were in the wetlands came down in the hurricane. A lot of them are down. What's still standing are the pines that were a part of the agricultural crop. So all of that's going to be what's coming down, and what's left is what was left after Helene. So it will grow back in time, but I would just like to, I have some concerns about what's going to happen with noise. So thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? State your name and address for the record, please.
Hi there, Eris Trivet, 3095 Marshall Road, Appling. I come before you to let you know that I'm a former resident of Anderson Farms. I used to live right off of Highfield Drive. I also used to be the former HOA president of Anderson Farms. In my experience with Vulcan Materials, they've always been very professional. They've always addressed any concerns that we've had, and from my opinion, they've always been good stewards of the land around us. This particular proposal, I'm very much in favor of because I think it would also help abate any additional noises that are going to come from this and definitely reduce the amount of traffic that's traversing Columbia Road. between rock chips on windshields and everything else, anything to reduce that, I'm very much in favor of. So, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Come forward, state your name and address for the record, please.
Hi, my name is Nicole Demchek. I live at 4082 Highfield Drive. I am on the same page as Eris. I think Vulcan deserves the expansion, and they are good neighbors, good stewards. We were one of the first houses in that neighborhood. Moving to Anderson Farms, we were advised by DeFore Realty and our builder, First Choice, that we would back up to a quarry, so there was no surprises. There are active blasts. We were advised that at the time of purchase. We were told that if we have any questions, we can always call Vulcan. They'll give you a blast schedule. They send out emails to let you know the blast schedule. They also have the sirens and let you know when the blasts are going to be happening. For the most part, I work from home, and the blasts are not that often, and they are very few and in between. So I just think they're a Fortune 500 company, so they have done the legwork. They do know, and they put in the hard work and did the research. So I don't think they would steer us in the wrong way. So.
Okay, thank you.
Still not coaching Oregon.
Good evening. My name is Dan Lanning, 825 Rolling Brook Lane. We live kind of right in here, so we're close, off Louisville Road. It's good to see you gentlemen again. Thank you for allowing us to continue to speak. I'd like to just speak a minute to Vulcan about them. They've had 2 meet and greets for the neighbors over the past few months, one in February, one in April. They brought a number of these people to those meet and greets. We had an opportunity to speak with environmentalists, people who work on the site. Any questions that we wanted to ask, we could ask. We asked about wells, we asked about noise, debris, dust, all kinds of things. Very transparent company. They've been good neighbors. We've lived in our home for almost 9 years now. Honestly, when we moved in, didn't even know there's a quarry there until we lived there a while, and then we started hearing these rumblings. We're like, what's going on? We didn't do our legwork. We just liked the land, but they've been great neighbors. We have no complaints. Kevin actually gave us a tour for my whole family, about a 2-hour tour. He drove us all the way down to the bottom of the quarry, talked to everything. My daughter's 9th grade. It's awesome. It's actually, it almost doesn't even feel like Columbia County. It feels like you're on a different planet almost. But my 9th grade daughter actually wrote her research paper on granite rock because of it for this year. You know, obviously we would always like that nothing changes, but change does happen and growth happens. We think this is a good growth development. We also pay attention to the traffic and the alternative of putting 40,000 cars on the road over the next couple years. They had put together this little thing, and they'd said 2 to 3 years. So because I like math, it equated if it takes 3 years to move all this stuff and you don't allow this to happen at 52 weeks a year and all that stuff, it'd be about 50 trucks a day hauling off, which equates to like a truck every 9 minutes on Columbia Road. That's a lot of rock. And I mean, we've had a couple windshields get replaced because of rock on the road, and you probably have 2, Ryan. Just had one last week, actually. They were able to fix it, but that's a huge thing for us to keep vehicles off the road. As we know, Baker Place is an issue with traffic. So providing Columbia County with a little more safety is a great thing. We as neighbors, I have a lot of neighbors that weren't able to be here tonight on Rock Hill and Rolling Brook. Most of us are pretty much in favor of something like this happening. So thank you for your time and participation with this.
Mr. Lanning, I'd like to thank you for coming up to support something.
Right?
It's kind of change of pace for us.
Feels kind of good to be on this side.
Change of pace. You said it all.
Lisa Fletcher, 5987 Anderson Road. Thank you for letting me speak here tonight. Vulcan Materials is requesting to rezone over 300 acres of residential agriculture land to S1 Special. And on December 18th of this year, many citizens spoke about the over 400 acres for quality materials for a quarry situated. And on that night, they expressed concerns included dust and associated health impacts, impacts to wells and septic systems, impacts to property values, the proximity to schools and the health impacts to the children, hours of operation and noise impacts, mental health impacts, particularly for veterans, for which I am also, lack of guarantee for residents that they would experience no negative impacts. You see, the impacts simply do not stop at the property line, and this includes and is also true for the data centers that have come before you. We know this to be true, and that words such as mitigation and heavily regulated are often used to address any concerns brought forth, yet restoration, which can never be accomplished from such S1 special zoning such as data centers and rock quarries. The landscape and land will forever be changed. And I'm not saying that repairs and repurposes cannot be utilized. However, with each additional large amount of agricultural land lost, the impacts on the surrounding area are more detrimental. In a closed-loop data center, wastewater must be purged due to accumulated contaminants. Though they recirculate water, closed-loop systems require regular flushing to remove these accumulated pollutants, mineral buildups, and added chemicals. Data center wastewater can contain toxic chemicals, including corrosion inhibitors, biocides, which can pose risk to water sources, including potential PFAS, forever chemicals, contamination. I bring this up because the force main recently installed that runs all the way down Anderson Road is the main that the approved data center will use. This means that these harmful chemicals prayerfully contained within these pipes will run down a road where all residents rely solely on well water and whom the majority of its citizens do not wish to have county water. Every neighbor that I have talked to, their main concern is contamination of the water, the lifeblood of our properties. I have here a map, if I can hand you all one. Sorry, am I allowed to look up here?
Yeah. Thanks.
Oh, sorry. This map shows the 1 mile radius of the rock quarry that was approved already we spoke about it December 18th, and then you recommended disapproval, but the Board of Commissioners then approved it. As you can see, Anderson Road is within the circle. I have already expressed concern to the water facility and at that meeting about this sewage pipeline containing industrial waste, not subdivision, industrial waste, going down a road now between not just one, but 2 rock quarries, and now the rock quarry is expanding even closer to that sewage pipe, which is PVC. In addition to the drinking water from our wells, there are many natural wetlands, streams, and ponds that are interconnected along Anderson Road. And this area is home to much wildlife, to include all kinds of beautiful colored birds, the mighty eagle, migrating birds, woodpeckers, barred owls, the white and blue herons, hawks, deer, foxes, honeybees, sheep, goats, chickens, and I still enjoy every chance I get to see the fireflies light up the night, although this too, I feel, is declining. I want to stop here and read 1 Timothy 6:17, because truly I was praying, Lord, help me to know what to say or do, whether to speak, whether to stay silent. Everyone says there's nothing we can do to stop it, and once public notice is given, it's already a done deal. And that's, in a lot of ways, that sounds true to me. That feels true to me from my experience here. Anyway, that day I was praying, I thought about the principalities, and it made me want to write something down. So I reached into a drawer and grabbed a piece of paper. And on that piece of paper were the words, leaning on the everlasting arms, in 1 Timothy 6:17. So I quickly pulled the verse up and read it, and I do believe in some ways it was an answer to me. 1 Timothy 6:17, charge them that are rich in this world, that they be not high-minded, nor trust in uncertain riches, but in the living God, who giveth us richly all things to enjoy. And again, this verse may only be for myself. And while the data center and rock quarries tout their revenue, I would never trade it for the riches that the Lord has provided. I've tasted his goodness in the fresh blueberries and blackberries. I've held a newborn lamb, goat, and chickens. And one time, if I may, could I continue? I'm very close to the end.
Yes, go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you for that respect. Only one time, and I long to see it again, there was an evening that hundreds of fireflies lit up the hillside, and I've never forgotten how breathtaking and glorious that was. In real estate, another word used often is highest and best use. But often, we still think in terms of financial and monetary, but value is not always in the almighty dollar. A tree, if you look at it, you may say it provides shade, landscaping, and wood, and certainly data centers like to use them to conceal and justify that it is mitigating the sound. But a tree is more than these things, as often it is the little things unnoticed, unheard, and often unseen that we really don't appreciate. Perhaps the highest and best use of a tree is purifying the air, sequestering the carbon, and managing stormwater. Sit under a tree and feel the breeze, and your mental health will improve. Trees reduce energy costs through shading. They provide habitat for biodiversity and food. Roots reduce soil erosion and prevent pollutants from entering the waterways. They reduce noise and increase property values. Just putting a few on the outside to block people from viewing or minimizing the 24/7 sounds does not provide all these added benefits, nor does it mitigate the impacts beyond the property line that affect the land, air temperature, climate, wildlife, water, and vegetation. And I just want to, and this isn't my notes, but most of us that live down Anderson Road, we have gardens, we have livestock. My neighbor just planted fruit trees. Another neighbor that wanted to come here hurt her back because she was out in her garden. So that's the type of land, the road that Anderson Road is. Anytime there is a sewer line or power line run on your property, whether through easement or eminent domain, you're told it's for the community good or public use. And I'm not so much talking about Vulcan as I am the previous rock quarry, but putting a rock quarry next to elementary schools, residential homes, and a senior citizen with 2 bridges whose weights are compromised, even if slotted to be fixed at some point in the future, that approval at that time was not for our community good or public use. The approval of that rock quarry was for the revenue and to supply the increased demand for data center building material. While this expansion request does minimize the traffic issue, and I give it that, it does not minimize the impacts beyond the property line brought before you on December 18th, 2025, and today. Don't trade what God has given us so richly to enjoy for the uncertain riches, power, control, and knowledge of this world. And again, I'm mostly speaking against the data center, because had the data center not had this industrial, that sewage pipe, you really got to understand the difference here is that sewage pipe coming from that data center.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay,
Your
please?
Your time's over.
Okay. My neighbor couldn't be here. She did that. I'll stop my writing. My neighbor asked if I could relay what she wanted. It's very short, like not even a minute. Her name is Frances. She lives down Anderson Road. I don't have her address, but when I called her and she was going to come with me today, she simply said, just tell them this. Sorry, my notes, because I wrote it when she was telling me, but basically, just treat your neighbor as yourself. And if you wouldn't have a sewage pipe running with those contaminants down in front of your house between 2 rock quarries, please don't do it to us. And again, I was on my last page, so I will ask again. I mean, they're able to come up here and speak for over 5 minutes. This is all I have left.
I gave everybody 5 minutes. I've given you
All
well
right,
over
thank you.
5 minutes. Thank you.
Okay.
Anyone else would like to come forward? State your name and address for the record.
Greg
Please.
Schleier, 4053 Highfield in Anderson Farms. So I spoke to you with the other quarry before. So here's what I like to take away from this, the lesson learned. So several months ago, I had 4 people walking down my driveway. They're sitting right here, all right? Talk about, when you run in, you hear people discuss transparency and what the issues with transparency. This team right here is the epitome of transparency. They came down, approached me. I've met a couple of them before, Kevin, the plant manager, as people have said, good neighbor. But my point is transparency. They've been transparent with everything. They came and spoke throughout our neighborhood, showed us all these diagrams. They had 2 meet and greets where people would come and ask different questions. They had experts in all the fields there. My point being, the way they presented this is a way that we need to present all the controversial issues that go on here. Fully transparent, outreach, group meetings, things of that sort, to keep people informed. And I just think that Vulcan has set the standard, and I think Columbia County ought to take that, note that, and use that in the future. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, gentlemen. I'm Dewey Galius. I live at 6126 Columbia Road. If you show the expanded map as we go along, I can show you the border that I share with Vulcan. My purpose here is to support Vulcan, actually north of yeah. Can I draw on this?
Yes.
Okay. This is the border that I share with Vulcan presently. So that's over a half mile. And to my eye, this seems to be an extension of existing activity that Vulcan has been involved in as long as I've been there. And so quarries have to contain and process their dross somehow. This provides an on-site solution. So their narrative indicates their method is going to consist of the wet method. I have insomnia, so I did read the 330 pages of documents, okay? This is an OSHA and CDC best practice for processing of dross and dust. This offers a mitigation for on-site workers. Now, silicosis has been mentioned, and it is, although it is severe, it's a health hazard only for direct contact workers. I can personally attest that I was on site with silica exposure for a full year in 1990 to 1991. Consequent to being deployed to the first Gulf War. I have since lived at, and from not only the desert environment and munitions activity in the first Gulf War, I've suffered none of those symptoms of silicosis. I share about this boundary with Vulcan, and aside from some concerns that people have had, the wildlife that I have there are abundant and they're healthy. So in 32 years, I've not seen that. As neighbors and community members, Vulcan is for me without peer. The original berm they have is 15 to 20 feet higher than was required, and it's now green. And people ask, what's that hill in the back of your house? The place where I hide out, okay? The blast activities and the operations are informed via not only a roster, but emails and telephone that we get. My discussions with the other neighbors haven't produced any negative comments. To the southwest, Anderson Farms buyers were not informed. There was some talk of them being unhappy for a while. They were not informed of the blast activity that was going to occur before they moved into Anderson Farms, although someone stood here hand to heaven and said that that would be done. But Vulcan didn't let that deter them. They dealt with those people, they worked with them, they adjusted their blast components and their timings. And I don't know how many people you could find over in Anderson Farms who were not happy with that. Now, I grew up with quarries in Illinois, and at the end of their service life, they provide great swimming holes, fishing holes, and actually some pretty valuable property. We won't be here for that, but maybe our grandchildren will be. So to close, knowing everything that I know today, I would neighbor with Vulcan again, as I have for the last 32 years. Now, I understand fully the responsibilities that you have as planning commissioners, and I appreciate you hearing me out. But without reservation, I recommend approval of this, and I'm very comfortable with that. And I also have no financial involvement with Vulcan Quarries. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Does anyone else would like to come forward?
My name is Robert Laconis, 739 Bancroft Drive. I know there's some angst from the people in Kalari of this being so close. And I mentioned I'm an architect, so contour lines, it's not my area. But if someone is with the quarry or the developer that could explain kind of a section, I think this is the Duplin what's the view going to be from Dublin Loop, basically? And you got to keep in mind that part of that is a grade going up. So I don't know whether the wetlands is the bottom of the bowl and then the overburden area, which is going up to 480 or 460, some number, I can't read it, it's too small. What's going to be seen? I think the neighbors would like to know that. Come on, someone be brave. One of you civil engineers jump up here.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Cheryl DeCrenza. I'm with Vulcan Materials. So we had extensive line of sight and renderings done from different vantage points to
Right.
help us understand, because we recognize that there would be concerns from folks from different locations. And from what I recall and from the work that we've had done, there would be no change of view from that particular location.
Okay, great. Thank you.
I get,
So that's why there was no section cut through there.
is there gonna be a berm there? Well, there'll be I mean, I see where you got it going along this line and that line, but will there be, where he's done drawn a line, so the line of sight's higher there? Or will it need a berm there?
There's
I'm
no
asking.
berm there because of the wetlands.
Yeah,
Sounds
the
like
wetlands, you've got Little Keokee Creek that winds through there. And then on the
Okay.
backside, we'll have ponds, and so, the trees and
Sounds
the
like there's no
vegetation from
change.
that side will maintain that buffer.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, we'll carry on. Do we have anyone else? Okay. Gentlemen, can I get a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to recommend approval with condition of file RZ 260505, rezoning from RA to S1 for property off Anderson Road.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor, raise your right hand. I disapprove. So it passes 3-1. We have no legal matters this evening.
Not tonight.
Have no staff or commissioner comments. No more public comments or participation. Can I get a motion, gentlemen, to adjourn?
Mr. Chairman, motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion to adjourn. All in favor, raise your right hand. We're adjourned.